Greetings and welcome to Teaching Tips and Thoughts. In this discussion, I am going to look at how I split up some assignments to make them a little bit easier for the students. So one of the things that I do, and especially with my semester long assignment, is to split it up into various parts. Now, of course, a lot of classes do this. I just wanted to discuss a little bit about how I work with this for my classes, and especially relating toward a science class. So why do I split these up? First of all, it breaks down the assignment for students into more manageable pieces. And I find that it helps keep the students focused, especially on my semester long assignment. So my project is a semester long project to observe the sun. So I give it to them the very beginning of class. They are to observe the sun over the course of the semester. And then one of their very last lessons is putting together a final project. But I break it down into 5 parts. The first 3 parts are observations. So that is when they're supposed to submit any observations they have made. And then secondly, there's one part that is a lab, which really goes over the calculation portion and creating the graphs. And then finally, the last one is the project itself. So it splits up things a little bit better for the students to give them a little bit, keep them on track, that they're constantly making observations and not forgetting about it. Because while I give them the assignment, we all know how that works, that students will then forget about it by the time it comes around to the end, and then realize, say in November for a fall class, that they haven't been doing this project, which is a major portion of their grade. Now let's go ahead and look at this within the class as well. So how I break this down is within the content, and we'll take a look at content here, that I give them the assignment actually in the syllabus module. So this is not one of the parts, but I give them the information on the project, which has the instructions for it that they can then access. So that will come up, that they can review the assignment here and review what they need to go over. I give them a video that goes over that. And I give them a link to data tables that they can use for their observations. Now, then the first time I will collect these is in the 3rd lesson of the class. And I just have an assignment in there where what they need to do is to submit their data table. How many observations have you got? I only need 1 to give you credit, but you want to try to get a few more. So I do that. I have them submit photos of what they've done. Again, just demonstrating the work that they're doing and helping me to give them some feedback. I even note here specifically that if you look at the very first one, I do not, accuracy is not included. So I don't penalize them on the accuracy for their first observation. Again, it's supposed to be a learning experience for them, and that will just allow me to give them some guidance and make sure they're on the right track after the first couple weeks of course, instead of telling them at the very end. Now I do this several times. So in this case, I happen to collect it in lesson 3, and there would be similar assignments in lesson 7 and lesson 11. So those would break down and just have them submit their data. It keeps them on track. I ask them to get about 10 observations over the semester, and that just keeps them from trying to squeeze them all in the last month or last few weeks of the class. Now, after they've gotten there, then one of the other things I do for this is use one of my labs. Now that's in the 12th lesson in my class. And there is a lab that involves the solar observations. So I give them the instructions here for the lab that they can access, and that tells them exactly what they need to do. Now, the whole idea, this is for the calculations in graphs. That's sometimes a little bit more for some of my students who don't have a real strong math background. There's nothing intense in it mathematically, but some of them will get a little overly stressed over it. So I've broken this out into a separate part. I use it as one of my labs, and I have videos that go over those examples. And I have them take the worksheet, I have them use the data tables, and I have them complete this for a set of sample data that I provide. So they go through all the calculations, follow my methods in the videos, and their whole lab is really just putting that together. And that's usually their toughest part when it comes to writing the project. They're usually quite capable of writing the paper and writing their analysis of what they've learned. But it's a little bit harder for sometimes to do this when they don't have a lot of experience with doing mathematical calculations and doing graphs. So I break this up into a completely separate lab. And the thing is that then I can give them feedback on this lab before the actual project is due the next lesson. So then finally, the solar project itself we can take a look at. And that is in lesson 13. I give them the final solar project, which is just really the submission of their entire project. And I give them a grading template as to what I'm looking for. And I give a whole breakdown of exactly what they want to do. So if they want to see what they need to do, they just need to open this. I give them an entire breakdown step by step of what they need for their project as to what each section should look like, how it should be split up, how it should be organized, just to help them focus so that they can really focus on the assignment itself and get something out of the assignment rather than stressing over the specifics of what the write-up needs to be. So really, I found that it helps a lot more since I'm having them collect data over the whole semester. Having them turn them in several times over the course of the semester has been very helpful in keeping many of the students much more organized on this. So let's go ahead and finish up here. And what I've really talked about is just how I split up the assignments to really give the students a better chance to be successful on this. Give them those reminders over the course of the semester. And in fact, in each of my lessons, I give them a reminder. Don't forget you have observations to make. So I only collect them at 3 specific points. And then the final project, I actually remind them in every single lesson that there are observations they're supposed to be making. So that concludes this discussion on how I use splitting up of assignments in my classes. I'll be back again next time for another teaching tip and thought. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you next time.